All right, guys, welcome to another 90 Day Fiance recap chat. It's 90 Day the other way, and this franchise follows real life couples, one from the US, one from another country. It follows their relationship issues generally, but also cultural barriers, language boundaries, legal issues when it comes to getting that visa and starting a life together. And becoming man and wife, all of those legal ramifications. It's 90 Day Fiance, and this particular spinoff is 90 Day the Other Way. Now let's get into these couples with Dempsey and Statler. They're on this amazing epic van trip, but now Statler has to get back to the real world, goes back to work, but none of her equipment works for her to go to work. She is in another country using a vehicle that's from a foreign land, and she's from the US, so she can work remotely from anywhere. She has her laptop or whatnot, but none of the stuff is working where they're at in this particular location. So Dempsey has to get on her trusty bike and goes into town. But while she's there, why not enjoy some sights of this amazing mountain that she's on? And she does that, and she's like, I'm gonna enjoy these things. Statler can't work right now because she needs all this equipment, so it wouldn't bother. It wouldn't be a big deal if, it took a little time to enjoy the sights. Meanwhile, Statler's back at the van complaining, saying, what is she doing? And I feel like I'm being used. She gets to enjoy the sights while I have to be here stuck trying to figure out how I'm going to get some work done. Once Dempsey returns, it's weird in the air. It's some weirdness in the air between them, definitely. Statler was again, while she was gone, accusing her of possibly using her and playing her, which is the ongoing argument that she has. And Dempsey cooks some food, and after they kind of eat, she just kind of starts looking depressed and tearing up, and Statler comforts her while in the meantime still looking skeptical about who she even is, while she's comforting her at the same time. I don't know. This couple just is having some of the same issues. But she's like, what's wrong? And she consoles her. But, at the time, she's not telling her what's wrong, but she's telling us and the producers that, sometimes you just feel alone, even when you're with someone, and you could just feel this sense of loneliness. And she's like, I'm used to doing things on my own and trying to hold my own and all of that. And to try to have to cover all these things while I'm with Statler, and Statler, it's not giving me good vibes. So she feels alone, even though she's supposed to be with the person that she loves. And this is one of the reasons why she just started breaking down and crying, and she's stressed. And it's like, she's stressed. Well, she doesn't have to work, but she's doing all the driving for the van. And then she's also trying to go into town and get what she needs. And, she's doing things that take work to be a part of this trip. And I think Statler's not really seeing that, not really caring about that. But I don't blame Dempsey for, enjoying the sights. I mean, you guys are going to be on this trip. Why not? Especially when she finds out, when she returns, Statler's like, hey, because I missed all this work 30 days straight, I'm going to work every day for 30 days. So I'm not going to be able to enjoy the sights with you. So then I'm sure that made you even feel even more alone in this scenario. But it is what it is, and I don't know if they're ever going to figure out what their situation is or is going to be, but that's Dempsey and Statler for now. I'm sure they'll find a way to make up in the interim. Shekinah and Sarper. Sarper has shaped Shekinah's new nose. He's given it to the people that do noses, also known as plastic surgeons. So she comes out with like a stent on her nose, and she's kind of a little swollen, but yet she looks like she's in full makeup. And Sarper sees her glowing, says she's even beautiful, even though she looks homeless right now, just because she doesn't have fancy clothes on or she doesn't have her nails done. Well, maybe she does, but just because she doesn't have all these trappings on, she looks homeless to him, but yet he says she still looks beautiful. He helps her, he cares for her, and from what I can see, he's being a good caregiver, which I was surprised he was capable of doing. But yes, she still has full makeup on, and her man thinks she's homeless. I just think that's the weirdest thing to say about someone that just can't come out of surgery because they don't have any. I mean, if she's just her natural self coming out of surgery, yet you look homeless. Okay, great thing to say when you first see someone come out of surgery, but I guess he made up for it with his attitude. All right, now let's go to James and Tata. They're trying to prepare for this wedding. They're at the restaurant checking out the different wedding items for the food that they may choose. And, James is really complaining because the parents are going to be controlling this. They control the budget. Dad's like, they're giving them some options for chicken, and Tata's dad is like, we should have 2 different types of chicken because some people don't like this one. And they're like, no, let's just have 1 type of chicken because we don't have money like that. And Tata lets everyone know that, hey, my dad has about 3,000 family members on his side, so this may be like the hugest wedding of all time in the world. I mean, that sounds like a small community there that's going to be here for this wedding, and they're going to have to feed everybody. I don't know. Is the 2 choices of chicken even matter at that point? So they're trying some more of the food. Some of the things are spicy, and they're kind of daring James to, get into that heat. And he's like, I can handle heat, but their type of heat I can't handle. But since they dared him to do it, and it's like, hey, you got to man up and get used to this culture. He does it. They laugh at him and taunt him. So that was like kind of mean, but kind of funny at the same time. And I think he enjoyed it as well. I don't know if he just is into being laughed at, but I think he enjoyed it as well. It sounds like an ongoing joke for the family. So for some reason, in the middle of the heat, James is like, hey, why don't we talk to your family about not having kids? Why are you picking now when you guys are picking the wedding food? This is like not the best time to be like, hey, could you guys at least have the wedding first? But from what they said, soon after the wedding, they're going to really try to get them to have kids. They're probably going to still try to do that, guys, anyway. You can tell them what you want, but the way Dad pushed him in that bed after renovating the room for them, they're still going to be egging them on to have kids. And she's like, you want to talk about that now? I say, well, why don't you talk about it? She doesn't want to keep being put in the place of translator here, which she has to. But I guess she lets him know he's bringing this up. This isn't me. This is all him. She does some translating. He does try to say 1 or 2 words in their language, but she's still doing the translating. And, the mom is like, it's empty to get married and not have kids and not have a family. What's the point? The main point of marriage is having a kid. And he's like, do you think I'm being selfish or whatnot? And she's like, well, after you guys are financially stable, just consider at least having 1 child. And so they kind of wrap it up in a bowl like that. And like, okay, that actually sounds nice. And he's like, hey, I actually will consider that because, once we get our money together, maybe it will be possible for us to have a kid. So everything sounds great, but he's like, hey, once we get home, it's not going to be that great because we're out here in public. They're going to try to make everything seem perfect because that's a part of their culture. No strife in public. Everything's supposed to look good. But when they get home, it's going to be a different story. So we'll see what happens when they get home, I guess, in an upcoming episode. All right. Finally, Lily and Josh. We saw before that, Lily's daughter has some issues with Josh. And he's hoping that those issues are going to be put in the past. She is a Beijing actress. Also considered her daughter is considered her best friend. But daughter says, hey, you know what? They're too love struck, at least my mom is. She She tolerates anything from Josh. She treats him like a king. So she's showing off the new house to her daughters. Like they're in the movie room, and she's kind of bringing up this information and how she's feeling. And she also lets us know as viewers that she thinks Josh should work. She doesn't see basically what's so good about him. And then she brings up this Vietnamese woman, which like, who is this? Some woman he was seeing on the side maybe. And she's saying he lies. And supposedly this Vietnamese girlfriend he has is dead. So I'm confused as to what's going on here. And Lily kind of takes up for him and says, well, with that Vietnamese woman situation, he fears loneliness. So I understand that. Still confused at that point. When we get to dinner where they all come together, because at that time Josh is off with his brother and they're planning to all meet up later. So when they get together at the restaurant, the daughter, she's polite, and nice in the beginning, but then she kind of starts to get into some questions. And, Jared, actually, the brother kind of exits on. It's like, well, do you have anything you want to ask him? So she really gets into the grilling and talks about this Vietnamese woman is supposedly dead. And he's like, oh, no, she was not dead. She's just dead to me because, we're not together anymore. But he kind of revealed that while Lily and Josh were talking online, while the couple were talking online, that they were on and again, off again, they will fight. So even she went to go start talking to other people because they were just so on and off again. And he was upset that she still talks to that guy she was talking to even now. And she's like, no, I keep his messages because it's like a memory, like a diary. And he's like, no, these are recent messages that I'm seeing that she talked to this guy. The daughter's kind of in the middle, and they're going back and forth about this Vietnamese woman. Again, she's not really dead, but dead to him because they're not together anymore. And to me, it seems like the both of them are just kind of messy. It's not all on Josh, but I don't like his negativity. I don't like the way he talked to the daughter. He basically said, he knew she was going to try to cause issues between them. He blames her for their issues. And he also says he doesn't give a care what she thinks and all of that. And even though she's like, I'm not satisfied with you and your behavior. And I could completely agree, because Josh kind of came off with the attitude, and even the brother Jared, who was trying to fill in the middle, is like, well, you should take her daughter's feelings into consideration. He's like, no, I really don't care about what any of you guys think. It's just about me and her. So that was really rude and disrespectful to the daughter. Now I can see the daughter was straight up cussing him out and disrespecting him, and he was staying calm, but she had her concerns, and she wasn't, to me, disrespectful to him, but she spoke up, and she has all rights to do that. So I just don't like the way he treated the daughter, and that's a big indication of the type of person that you are. If you treat someone's child in a certain way, in a negative way, I know she's an adult, doesn't matter. That's still her offspring, and she should be treated with respect, some form of consideration. Everything shouldn't be thrown on her and saying, okay, she's trying to mess us up. You guys both have messes on your hands. You guys were both talking to other people in the middle of your relationships because you couldn't stop fighting. Yes, he doesn't work, but we all know why, and we've already talked about that issue. But everybody's still upset about that, and the women in her life as her family members are still upset about that. So maybe some resolution can be made. But then she's considering, Lily's like, well, should we even get married at this point? Because they're fighting back and forth. The daughter's not happy with them, and he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. So she's like, should we go forward with this wedding, which is in a day or two? And Lily, you had enough time. You already had issues when he first came. I think he was there so many. We'll get into that for the next episode, because they were showing what's gonna happen next time. But yeah, it's like, hey, you've seen the red flags. You already been complaining about things as is. So why the last 2 or 3 days before the wedding you're like, should I cancel it? I mean, why so last minute? I think it's something you guys could have probably nipped in the bud a little bit earlier. Does it really matter at the end of the day? It matters because they're already married anyway. It's not like it's going to end the fact that they're married. They just won't have the ceremony there in China, but it will mean a lot to her family and friends and those surrounding the fact that she's canceling her own wedding. That will be like a huge red flag right there. So we'll see what's going to happen as we continue with these real life couples in some real life situations and some that seem to be a little bit unreal in some levels. So let's continue to talk about this, guys. Faith, love, and trends as we talk more recaps, more reviews, and more topics that I find interesting that have to do with our topics. Faith, love, and trends at CBiz Media. This is Irene. Talk to you next time. Any thoughts, comments, questions, email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. And all the best. God bless.